Toy World to produce a large, unofficial Devastator. It's going to be an inch taller than Combiner Wars. This is, not counting the super deformed one, what, the fifth? Third party Devastator.
Fifth, yeah. TFC Toys did Hercules, then Make Toys did
Giant.
Green Giant or Giant.
And we're getting I don't think it's Iron Factory, but it's the same Legend scale.
Oh,
Is that
DX9, Hulky. Yeah, and, well, that's the Legend scale, so I'm not counting that one. But then there's the Generation Toys, which is basically
Gravity
looks like
Builder.
Warbitron, Gravity Builder, and then this one. So, yeah, that's 4 or 5, depending on how you're counting them.
Yeah. So
this is getting ridiculous.
So I'm not foolish, and I completely understand that for the most part these companies are unaffiliated. Now some companies do operate under multiple names, and they may share some resources, but it's not like some cabal that's out there. You know, like there's no third party syndicate out there that just decides what toys get created. But you would think, just for the sake of their own sales, that the third-party companies might come up with some sort of pact or some sort of plan on how to release these toys and how to, distribute them. I know it sounds silly, but when you're on your fifth...
Or perhaps, do a Google search and say, oh, somebody's already done this figure multiple times.
Well, I brought this up a long time ago, but when... the Predikings were all coming out. It's like we thought everybody had learned their lesson when Hercules and Giant both were hitting at the same time, and everybody was torn on which way to go based on their aesthetics.
That's a little bit different, Don, because I mean, the time frame those came out in, it's kind of obvious that everybody had the same idea at the same time.
Right.
Hercules and Giant have been around for years at this point.
Oh, no, I agree. No, I'm just saying that even back as far as the Predikings coming out, we've talked about this doesn't need to happen again. You're splitting an already limited base of purchasers drastically. And now we're seeing it again with another Devastator. That's not, like y'all are saying, it's not necessary. So that they haven't learned to communicate.
And they probably never will. But the thing is, like, third party was great when it was to fill in a hole in your collection. Like, oh, I don't have this, they haven't released an Overlord since 1993 or something. Or I can't get this character because he's not. There's a freaking Devastator on the shelf! You can go to Toys R Us or tfready.net/Devastator. You can get this.
But that doesn't mean it's the best Devastator. It's not the collector's Devastator, and that's what really the third party is.
Okay. So go get the Giant that they already know about, or Hercules.
Giant's too small. I have Giant. I love Giant. It's too small. Now I'm into this bigger size class for my combiners, which is basically because of Warbitron, but I have my Bruticus, which is huge. They're all roughly Voyager-sized figures. I've got Computron, which is going to be, I'm 3 bots in on that, which is going to be about the same size. And that's why this Generation Toys was coming out. And now you have the Devastator from Toy World, which is a little bit taller than Combiner Wars. I mean, but it's all in that same size category that I'm thinking almost like masterpiece-sized third-party combiners is how I'm thinking of it. And I don't have a Devastator in that yet. Hercules, I've never seen it combined in person, but it's probably not as big as
Hercules is about perfect to go with your Combiner War Superion and Menasor.
So, yeah. I'll say this. I totally get the trying to keep it quote-unquote in scale with Warbitron and all these other toys. But when you're looking at it, do you have more people out there who are trying to get masterpiece scale combiners, or do you have more people out there who are buying Combiner Wars?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt more people buying Combiner Wars.
So when you try to... So instead of, trying to market like this really expensive toy that's 700 people... 1,000 people, would you rather target, 30,000 people. And
But
not make 30,000 units, but make as the same number of units and charge a little more because you have more demand.
They can't target that large of a market though, just because of the distribution route and the factories.
No, I'm saying not even make any more units. Make the same number of units. Just make them maybe a little smaller, maybe a little less complex. Something that's closer to Combiner Wars. Maybe their artistic vision is to that's not what they want, so they wanted to do this. But I'm just saying, not everything is driven by economics, though it should be. No, I'm kidding. But it would just make more sense to try to cater to Combiner Wars fans, because you create demand there, you could sell the same toy in the same volume for more money and make more money. And it's not like they don't get press. T-Former, Cybertron, TFW, Allspark, all the websites, post it, Twitter, Facebook. So their name gets out there. Just seems like they would try to sell to more people. I don't know. But I think it's crazy, honestly. Not that I think that Combiner Wars Devastator is the be-all, end-all. I have problems with it. It's, combined it's okay. Individual pieces leave me a little meh.
But we have plenty of Devastator options right now.
There are too many.
I don't agree.
Somebody make a Raiden.
Yes.
I don't agree.
You don't agree that there are too many options?
I don't agree that there's enough Devastators out there right now.
Wow. That's awesome. Why?
Hercules is old. He's how many years old? 4 years old?
Same as Giant.
He's old. Old engineering. Wrong size class anymore.
Oh my gosh, let's just throw him out and buy another one.
Exactly.
Yes.
And a lot of people do that.
It's not like it cost me $600 or anything.
There is nothing wrong. Hercules still holds up.
Hercules is fantastic.
I'm just saying, Giant, I love Giant. He's what I consider my classics Devastator, but for me, I need a masterpiece size combiner, and Combiner Wars Devastator just doesn't do it for me. It's nice. I mean, I got it. I like it, and I'm gonna buy some upgrades for it. But I want a definitive collector's Devastator.
Okay, so
I don't think you can. I mean, I'm sorry, Brian. I'm saying I don't think you're going to get that, because every one of these is going to have its own unique aesthetic, and unless it just happens to hit every aesthetic you have, no one figure is going to be perfect.
Are you going to buy a brand new third-party Devastator every 5 years?
Every 2 years.
For $600 a pop?
Possibly.
Because there's always going to be some improvement in some.
Yeah.
So is Toy World the company that's going to create this toy that you're looking for diecast?
Honestly, I think
record.
right now I'm kind of leaning towards the Generation Toys one. But I mean, maybe I need to see a little bit more.
How big is Gravity
like
Builder?
Prototype.
Is that going to be the masterpiece scale?
Well,
size?
from what?
Yeah, that's going to be the Warbitron size.
Yeah, the Warbitron size.
And that's really why I'm buying it. That's what I want. Am I buying it for scale? Yeah, I probably am.
Well, see,
Well,
I guess.
tough.
Well, see,
It'll fit on top of it.
Well, I guess maybe that's what we're running into, Brian. Is it's not just an aesthetics thing. It's something of an age thing to a small degree. And I'm just going to say that because I grew up with the Transformers when it didn't care.
Go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
There, you're back. Yeah.
Okay, maybe not. So,
No.
so I'll say
Hello?
this. No,
Hello?
I'll say this. So, now I'll let you speak, Don.
Okay.
Once. So, here's the thing about this that it makes it hard for me to understand, and it's probably because I'm looking at this wrong. There are a lot of third-party companies out there producing this stuff, and to me, that's insane. There are a lot of third-party companies trying to create the same character, and to me, that's insane. But a third-party company isn't Hasbro. They don't have the same budget constraints as Hasbro. They don't have the same target audience as Hasbro necessarily. They're not Hasbro. So if you look at them as a bunch of small little discrete copies of Hasbro, you're doing it wrong. I guess ultimately it's kind of like, and I rail on there are too many podcasts out there, and that's because I'm a curmudgeon, and I've been, when you're the first person to do something, you think of everybody else as a copy, and I do, honestly. But the thing is, they're not. It's somebody doing their own thing. It's somebody expressing their own opinion. It's somebody creating their own content. These companies are out there trying to create their own stuff. They're trying to create their Devastator
based on somebody else's IP.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We'll get to that in a second. But they're trying to express their, hopefully, love for this thing that's out there. I mean, technically, ultimately, we're in some way, we're kind of infringing a little bit on IP, just in the name that we're using. Definitely, back when Hasbro and companies were less lenient,
we're not selling anything,
using the theme, pfru.net/Amazon. All I'm saying is the economics aren't the same in these little silos as there are with the big company Hasbro. So if I'm trying to look at things that way, I am probably looking at it wrong. But to Matt's point, it's all stolen intellectual property, and that just colors the whole thing.
I don't know if you can say it's stolen if
they're not defending it.
Yeah. That's my thing, because I was thinking about the legality, because something came up that we kind of talked about one third party was upset that another third party apparently or allegedly stole their engineering for a figure.
And that is so ridiculous.
And people were saying, well, what's the difference between stealing the engineering for a figure or stealing IP? And I'm like, well, it's kind of, because the company even said, if I couldn't make transforming toys, I could make something else. It's just they're doing it because they enjoy making these toys. And, because no one is saying, hey, you're not allowed, they keep doing it.
It's like if you're somebody who sits on YouTube and reviews toys and you can make a living that way, great. If you can play video games, great. So I guess if you're a third-party designer and you can make your living, selling stolen intellectual property, and if the person whose property it is isn't, coming to sue you, great.
See, I like to think of it
doesn't
as
make
borrowed,
it not stolen, though.
You're correct.
Borrowed intellectual property.
So Hasbro is ostensibly not seeking out and crushing these companies. I know that they do seek out like literal either stolen toys or stolen engineering. They do seek out companies and try to, or they did in the past anyway, try to shut those guys down. But for whatever reason, they're not doing it. But it is still stolen, to Matt's point.
I think of it as borrowed, personally, but...
No, because they're not giving it back.
Yeah, it's stolen.
Okay. But, can I go, Brian?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Now, I think what we're looking at it is also to the point where, for the longest time, as I said, scale was not an issue. It was a non-issue, because if you tried to make it an issue, it would not hold up, because the stuff just was not produced even close to being accurate. Now that we've gotten scale in masterpieces, so many people are going back and trying to make everything fit in this scale, and that's what these people are doing, is they're going back and making new toys that will be in better fit with the stuff since masterpiece.
Maybe sometimes, maybe not.
Maybe not. But I mean, I think what we're seeing though is we are seeing more companies trying to make more stuff in scale with masterpieces. That is the new standard for scale. In my opinion, now this is just me. People don't need to worry about scale. They don't need to worry about, is this thing tall enough to be in scale with these cars? It's not important. What's important is it a figure that you like, that looks good on the shelf? Will you have any regrets buying it for being a figure that looks good on your shelf that you enjoy? Who cares if it's only 8 inches taller than the Autobot cars when it should be 14 inches.
I agree with
you. If somebody was making third-party Devastator in Masterpiece scale, Mixmaster would be bigger than Optimus Prime.
Well, no, so
if you're going by vehicle scale,
we're not those.
That thing would be huge.
We don't go by vehicle scale is the thing.
Right.
So to Don's point, I agree with Don to a point, but like you said, with Masterpiece, they are kind of trying to go to a scale. So probably and they're trying to scale to robot mode. They're not scaling to vehicle mode. They're scaling to robot mode. So if we ever get Seekers, they're going to be about as tall as Optimus. And it will be completely out of scale at the vehicle mode, but they'll be in scale-ish in robot. That's probably the way it should be. But
exactly.
But the thing is, what Don's saying, he is exactly right, because scale scale in Transformers is a completely artificial thing, and it's entirely up to whoever is designing whatever. And right now, that's the Takara team that's designing all the Masterpiece figures. And at some point, they'll have different designers who have a different scale, and that'll be all out the window. So, trying to create third-party toys to this scale, I think it's fleeting. It's fleeting at best, because the scale will probably change, and it's not like they're trying to, in my mind, create to the scale of Masterpiece. They're roughly trying to do it, and they're probably more or less trying to create to their own internal scale, which only just kind of roughly matches Masterpiece. I don't think it's strictly Masterpiece.
See,
yeah, I just go ahead, Cass.
I was going to say, if you look at my DTOFs that I sent out, which I did, put pictures on Twitter. If you look at that, and to me, that is a decent Masterpiece-esque display, and scale is important to me in that display. And I think it looks really good, because I was worried about that, and it shows in my display.
Scale but you're talking about is a very, very, very recent event in Transformers, and it's not going to last.
Yeah, and that's just what I was saying. Those of us who grew up without it don't have this need to have to make everything fit. Is Hercules taller than Prime? Yes. Can he stomp on Prime? Pretty much. So Hercules, to me, is still a fine Devastator in the classic style. This Combiner Wars Devastator is a great Devastator in a G1 sort of style.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter whether everything fits. Is Devastator taller than Prime? Yes, it's fine.
So I think ultimately we're sort of veered away a little bit from the original topic of the fact that we have 45 Devastators coming out, 38 Predakings out there, and a partridge in a pear tree. It's just kind of there's a lot of it. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. I don't know what's the right way to look at it. I know historically I've been very anti-third party, and I've mellowed a lot. But to Matt's point, it's all stolen. So I mean, if the Paladin in me, and not the Paladin from Superhero Time, but the Paladin from like Dungeons and Dragons, if I was like strictly lawful good, I would have to be anti-third party. So I guess I'm not.
I'm not either, and like I stand behind what I said, that it's stolen IP. But still, if there's a figure that I don't think I'm ever going to get, I'll buy the third party version.
Yeah,
I've got the Spartan on pre-order coming out next month. So.
But now you see, I don't mind going, instead of going bigger, Hulky is going smaller, which I think is a good direction to go, because there are people who it differentiates it. It gives you a transforming Devastator in a new design. But a lot of people, like Chris has mentioned before, room. Where are you going to put this?
And but it's still going for a scale. It's still going for a scale.
Nothing.
It's legend scale. I mean, there's still a scale that they're trying to achieve with that figure.
Right. But there's not that. But if you've got other Legends figures, like the War in the Pocket line, this is a perfect example for you to have a Devastator for that size class.
We're saying it's Legends scale. Has anyone actually compared it to a Legends figure?
I don't know.
It's a smaller toy.
Yeah. It's being made in that scale.
Legends toys aren't in scale with each other, though. They're roughly the same size, but that doesn't mean that You know,
I mean that's a scale.
It's a price
roughly
point.
The same, to me,
roughly the same price point.
Same size.
Yeah.
And you can't say price point with third party because price point is out the window.
But Legends as being a scale and Transformers is a price point.
It's scaled to the Legends price point.
Yeah,
right. But I like it because, again, just saying this, because it's a smaller figure, people have more room for this.
And it would probably be a better toy. I don't... John, do you have anything to chime in on?
No, I think you guys have covered it.
Yeah,
completely.
I do too.
Totally.
I do. Now I don't know that we need that third. We're gonna do a mini cast on that stolen engineering or something, right, guys?
Sure. No honor among thieves.
No. I think that's silly. I can totally understand feeling ripped off because somebody would take stuff, design, work that I did, but also you kind of have to sit back and reflect on. I don't want to spoil it, so you can pretty much guess what I think.
You're going to want to tune into that mini cast because I think it's going to get heated in that mini cast too.
Yeah.